All right, YouTube, what's happening? We got another knife video for you today. We are looking at the Quiet Carry Drift. This is the knurled stonewash. So it has knurling on the handles, titanium handles, and a stonewash finish on the blade. And it also has a stonewash lock side. So this is available in multiple different versions. There's I think there's 4 different types. Without the knurling, with the knurling, with the satin finish, with the stonewash finish. And then there's G10 variants. As of right now, making the video, the G10 is the only ones in stock on the website. Now they do drop these pretty frequently. They're not like a one and done drop. When I bought my knurled stonewash, it was kind of like he just added a few more to the website. It's kind of what he does. So the knurled stonewash is the knurled versions are $5 more than the standard. They're just $305. The regulars are $300, and then the G10 is $250. So we'll go over some basic specs, and we'll get into the different points of the knife. So the overall length on this guy is 6.94 inches. It is a 2.98-inch blade with a 3.9-inch handle. It is all as much water resistant or rust resistant as you can get. You have Vanex Super Clean blade steel, which is the one reason I bought this knife, and an LC200 and titanium handles, and then an LC200 and a lock bar insert. So making it very, very stain resistant to rust, as much as you're going to get. So this is definitely made for the person that's in the water a lot. That's the whole design aspect of a lot of the quiet carry knives. Is a kayak. I believe the guy that's designed a lot of these is an avid kayaker, outdoorsman, and it's in the water a lot. So they want knives that can meet those needs. So this is actually rather cool that it is that resistant to rust and salt and such. So I did actually take this in the hot tub with me the other night, and it was in there the whole time with chlorine. And chlorine's actually a little rougher than salt, from what I understand. So, but it did fine. No worries at all, no rust or anything on it. And I was in there for about 45 minutes, so pretty submerged the whole time. And it weighs 2.6 ounces. It's a very lightweight knife. So there's your basic specs. Let's do size comparisons. Let's do the bug out here. And the pair of 3. These are going to be similar, but larger knives. As you can see, they're both, it's smaller than both the pair of 3 and the bug out. And I think the closest knife I have right now is the Riot Typhoon Tashi Barushka, and that even is bigger in the handle. The blade length is actually around the same. The handle is just longer on the Tashi design. So there's some size comparisons for you guys, so you get an idea of what the size is. So it's a smaller knife, but it's not too small. Like some of these knives to get in this size range are usually a little too small for me. But from what I heard, and a lot of people said it's just a great size, and it really is. The handle is very neutral, so it just fits. You do have a finger groove here, choil, but it's wide enough. It's gonna fit a lot of different types of hands, and it just fits my hand really well. Like I don't even need to choke up, and I have a 4-finger grip. Now, you do have a generous choil up here if you need it. One thing that I don't like about choils is when you're forced to use them, when the knife is designed for you to choke up. Not a fan of that. I like having it if I want to use it, but if I don't want to, and I want to still have enough handle to choke back, this knife gives me that. So it really fits my hand super nice. Some other dimensions of this guy. It is very thin overall. As far as its thickness in the handle, it is very thin. Like I think it's thinner than the bug out. Really close anyway. It's 0.37 inches thick, so it's pretty small, pretty thin. The bug out is what? This is the carbon fiber one. Is 3.9. I think let me grab the G10, or not the G10, the carbon fiber elite version, which is the same as the standard bug out. I think it might be a little slimmer. It's 3. Yeah. So this is 3.69. So very close. So it's nearly as thin as the OG bug out is. If you look at them side by side there. Very, very thin knife. So, and it's also super lightweight, 2.6 ounces. Not as light as a bug out, obviously, which is around 2 or under, but very, very, very lightweight. Also thin blade stock at 0.9 inches, 0.90. Let's verify. I actually get a little thinner than that. Let me fix my calipers. 0.87 is what I get. It's even thinner towards the tip, obviously. Let's go to the very, very back here. Yeah, it's still thinner. So they're kind of rounding up a little bit. Oh wow, that's interesting. I just noticed that. Kind of came off on there. Huh, I'll show that up close in a sec. So very thin, and then thin behind the edge as well, which is what I love. I love slicing knives. At 16 thousandths behind the edge from factory. Pretty good. Hasn't been sharpened or anything. So cutting performance, let's talk about that. Since we're talking about thinness behind the edge, we'll transition to that. How well does it cut? Cut a lot of things, mostly cardboard, zip ties, wood. I did carve into some wood just to test ergos, which we'll talk about then. And it really bites into that stuff. It's a really good all-around blade use with a flat grind on there. So it's a pretty tall flat grind. Goes pretty much up to here. So it's not full flat, but it's pretty tall, and it does cut really well. Like just absolutely cuts like a laser. Very thin on the edge and very thin blade stock, so it just slices through. Really good for cardboard. Really good just for any day, everyday stuff, right? Not going to be like a super robust knife, but good for everyday use, which is really what it's designed to be. So cutting performance is excellent on this. Good geometry, good steel, Vanex. I cut a lot of cardboard. I cut into a lot of wood, which typically will do a lot of some shavings, some feather sticks, which typically will dull your blade faster than most things, and it still cuts paper cleanly, like without any issues. I haven't even stropped it, done nothing to it. So far I'm pretty happy with the Vanex edge retention on the factory edge. Obviously after sharpenings it's gonna get better, but before the steel Nazis come in the comments and tell me that, I don't know. But I like to, when I do reviews, I like to test things on the factory edge as well, just to see how it performs straight from the factory. So it'll obviously get better with sharpening. Yeah, so cutting performance is fantastic. So ergonomically speaking on the knife, it is ergonomic. It has a really, really neutral handle design. The one negative for ergonomics, well, two negatives, is it's so thin that can sometimes cause problems. This one, it does not. For me anyway, it doesn't cause any issues ergonomically. But I did notice under harder use, when I say harder use, like cutting into the wood, doing feather sticks, stuff like that, there is definitely a pronounced hot spot from the clip that hits me right down there. Anytime you get a deep carry clip, which I love the clip, it's not a negative in any way, shape, or form. But see how tall it stands up? That is going to be a negative, and it does create a hot spot under pretty hard use. Now, more than I would do with this knife, so that's not a huge deal breaker for me. It's not like I don't feel it just holding the knife like this at all. I really have to be bearing down in like a hammer grip to really start to feel it, which I'm not gonna do that a ton with this small of a blade anyway, so kind of a mute point, but it is something to note. So ergonomics are really good, whether you choke back or use the forward choil, really good ergonomics. This kind of grip feels really comfortable when I have a lot of control and precision, really good. So ergonomics are fantastic. Action, it is a thumb stud. The previous one was a hole opener, which I actually prefer holes to thumb studs. But they improved the detent on this, and the thumb studs have enough spacing between the scale here and the stud to easily middle finger it. So no big deal. Action is good. It's not going to drop shut. That's not bad. I mean, you have to give it a shake. It's not going to be drop shut, which is whatever, not a huge deal to me. But the action is good. No issues there whatsoever with the action. It feels smooth. I haven't put any KPL, haven't taken it apart, haven't done any of that kind of stuff that would only improve the action. So yeah, action on the box is quite good. aesthetics, like how does the knife look? I think it looks really good with this full titanium frame lock. I love the knurling. And not only does it look good, but it adds texture to the scales. I wouldn't know if I'd like this knife as much without that texture. I feel like it'd be too slick because you don't have a lot of handle to grab onto. So I think the knurling helps in that aspect when using the knife. I also love the how the pivot and the screws are only one-sided and they sit flush on this side. I think that looks really clean. I like that quite a bit. So you only see the screws on this side. Aesthetically, it's a very well-designed knife. Really, really dig the looks of it. It's just really handsome. And for me, it has replaced a knife in my collection that I have actually just sold recently, which was the Spydiechef. I kind of use that as my, like, hey, really rust resistant, you know, take it to the beach, to the water type knife. This has replaced that because Vanix is just a little bit better than LC200N as far as edge retention goes. But this knife overall is it's just smaller and easier to carry and lighter weight. And for that role being in like board shorts or, you know, just being it's just lighter and not as big. So it has replaced the Spydiechef for that reason. It's also just going to be a regular rotation in my daily carry just because it's a good size. If I need a lightweight knife, which I carry a lot of lightweight knives these days, you know, I typically will reach for like a bug out, but I like this is still light, but it's just a little more solid feeling in the hand than a bug out. So I like it's not going to replace them, but you know, it's a good alternative for me, and it will earn a spot in my rotation because of that. So yeah, really good overall. Dig the knife quite a bit. Price point, let's talk value. $305. It is made overseas. I'm not sure of the OEM that Quiet Carry uses, so if anyone knows, let me know. For the materials used, full titanium, the LC200N lock bar insert, and the Vanix steel, which is expensive. I mean, you know, notice Spyderco hasn't come out with a Vanix steel knife. Not a lot of people have. It's not a very common steel. I feel like it's okay. You know, it's not bad value. You know, you're not paying. And the secondary market has not gone crazy on these knives like it has, you know, some other knives made overseas. So I'm glad to see that because you can get these on the secondary market. I saw one sold for $250 yesterday, which is like $55 off. They're not like, hey, they're hard to get, I'm gonna sell it for $500, you know, no. So I like that. That hasn't hurt the value of the knife at all. So it's got a good value, I think, overall. Carry, that was the other topic we didn't talk about. It's really good because you have this nice deep carry clip. It's also slim and lightweight. It's gonna carry good in anything. Shorts, like I carried, like I said, board shorts the other day at the hot tub. And the clip works well for retention. Didn't lose it, obviously. The only issue I have, like I said, with the clip is just it sits up a little too proud right here. So it does create a hot spot in the hand. Only under really harder use than you're gonna use this knife for. Let's put it that way. So it's not a deal breaker for me. So overall, I really, really like the Quiet Carry Drift. I think I can see why the hype is there. A lot of people said, oh man, this could be my one knife that does it all kind of thing. And it really could, except for if you need a harder use knife in your EDC because of this hotspot. So it wouldn't replace like a more ergonomic, bigger blade that could take a little bit more abuse, like a, you know, 80-20. That's an extreme example, right? Look at the size difference there. But, you know, I would rather, like, I think the Para 2 or Para 3 would handle things. This one has been through the ringer, this K390 version, and the handle is just a lot more comfortable. And it just also has a deep carry clip, but it sits a lot more flat. So that would be, you know, probably one of my only gripes on this knife. I only noticed it under pretty hard to use stuff, more like I said than you would do. So one thing I did want to highlight, and I haven't really cleaned this blade off because I used it quite a bit. There's some tape residue and stuff, but I noticed after taking it in the hot tub that it almost has like a patina forming, which is really interesting, right? On the stonewash and on the Vanix right here, notice how that's all pretty much gone. No, it's not gone. It's just kind of like, notice how it's kind of discolored. It's not as bright as it used to be. I guess it doesn't pop like it used to. I don't know if that's from the chlorine or what. And the stonewash finish did a pretty good job of hiding. Can't really see it, but there's some pretty good scratches in the blade, so from use. That's all right. It's a user. It's definitely staying in the collection anyway, so I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about resale value or anything on it. So, all right, guys. Well, I think that's gonna wrap up my thoughts on the Quiet Carry Drift. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and we'll see you on the next video.